Waterworks and Lighting Commission meeting to order. The first thing we have to do today is vote for the reorganization of officers. And with that, I will turn the meeting over to our acting secretary, Rick Murdan.
And I do act, so, okay. Therefore, I am calling for the reorganization of the Waterworks and Lighting Commission and open the floor for nominations for the position of chairperson. Do I hear any nominations for chairperson?
I will nominate Tom Nowak for chairperson.
So Tom has received a nomination. Are there any other nominations for chairperson? Are there any other nominations for chairpersons? As this has been asked 3 times, then I would ask for a motion and a vote to elect Tom as chairperson.
I would suggest a unanimous vote to elect Tom as chairperson of Waterworks and Lighting Commission.
I second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Tom is reinstated as chairperson.
Thank you. I believe I will have to ask again for nomination for secretary of the Waterworks and Lighting Commission. And again, we will probably use three times. See if we have a nominee. Would somebody like to make this nomination?
I nominate Rick for secretary.
Okay, we have Rick Redan nominated for secretary. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? If not, would somebody like to make a motion?
I would move for the unanimous election of Rick Murdan as secretary of the Waterworks and Lighting Commission.
I second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any discussion? If not, all in agreement, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, we shall now go to the approvals of the meetings held last month. The regular commission meeting held on September 11th, 2019.
I move to accept it as written.
I second the motion.
Okay, all in agreement, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the second one would be the special commission meeting held on September 17th, 2019.
I would move for approval.
I'll second that.
All in agreement, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, safety committee meeting.
Sean isn't here, but I was wondering if there's any follow-up safety-wise as far as the storm damage in July, if there was any additional action required safety-wise with the crew.
I don't think so. I think I mentioned in my report that we, at the MEW board meeting last month, we got all kinds of accolades from the board as how the safety protocol was handled, from the organization of the crews to shutting it down at dark. So people weren't familiar with the area and stuff. But I don't know, have you heard anything, Josh?
No.
Okay.
But in your report, you have continued replacement of danger poles.
That was prior to the storm, those were the
Oh,
poles we
okay,
tested.
prior to the storm, okay.
Yeah.
I was interpreting it as.
They were poles we had tested last year,
Oh, okay,
just normal replacement.
okay, thank you.
I had a couple questions, but one was, he's identified the audit for quarter 4. And I was just going to ask, what is the process for the audit? And then also, he talks about the confined space issues for the water area. What are those issues?
I don't know, but they had the training from Nicollet College last month, so they've all been trained again in confined space, but it's been on his report forever, and I don't know what it is. Do you know, Adam? So, I mean, even in the same report, he's saying that the confined space training was completed, so I don't know what the issues are. I'll follow up with him and shoot an email off to you.
Yeah.
I said they reviewed the program.
Now, the audit is
There was
just a walk around the facility to ensure it's in safe working order, things are in the right place, fire extinguishers, all that type of stuff. He does that once a year, walkthrough.
As far as the confined space, they probably no new holes or places that they had to add to the program?
No, I mean, they come in with a trailer to do that training,
Yeah.
where it simulates them going underground.
Okay.
Okay. And it's not an issue on the electric side anymore, because all of our junction boxes are above ground, so.
Okay, line superintendent report.
The squirrels are back?
We're back.
Are the added crew folks for the tree trimming now on board?
One of them is, one will start Monday, and the second one.
Second one, so that'll be full contingent then.
Yep.
Do they have like their own unit then as well? Their own truck and?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep,
so
the
they'll
truck
be-
and chipper, everything's here
Okay.
already.
How did they determine where they're gonna start the trimming?
We identify the areas that they work.
From a priority basis?
Yeah,
or-
yep.
And then a priority is based upon impact on the community?
Right, 46 kV down to 13, down to single phase to low voltage. Yep, where the impact is.
And then the reliability numbers that we always review in January also determines a lot of times where we want to start putting the crews on which circuits are having the most problems.
This has been a continuous process.
It is.
Yeah.
Yep.
We've had so much rain the last few years, the growing seasons have been phenomenal, so it was time to get another crew on. We'll try to catch up.
And they're much more aggressive. At least the crew
The new
down by
ones,
our
yeah.
house is much more aggressive than in the past.
Yes, he is. Doing a good job. He's on more of a 5 to 7 year cycle instead of a 3-year cycle.
A lot of one-sided trees.
I think that's good, because
Yeah.
sometimes we'll get complaints in the city, from the city about the crews and so forth. But the city has to realize they're gonna spend this money, you have to cut it back far enough. Otherwise, to come out every few years, it's silly.
That's exactly
It's
right,
cost
yeah.
effective, so.
And they're not landscapers.
Right.
Any other comments? If not, the water department operations report?
These three new electric motors, are these the ones that we were talking about, variable speed for?
Yeah, so the new MCC, we're gonna install it on the week of October 21st. And these three high service pumps are gonna have variable speed drives now with the new MCC. The motors have to have a better insulation level because the variable speed drive that actually doubles or can have voltage spikes double what normal operating voltage is. So if we had left the existing motors in place, they would have failed in a short order. So in order to kind of speed up the MCC replacement, we went ahead and we put the three motors in ahead of time and pulled the new drive cable as well. So that's one less thing we have to do on the week of the 21st.
There's a very nice article in this month's Consumer Reports about really touting municipal water source as a drinking water as opposed to, bottled water. And that had a question too, so then they were talking about this annual, whatever you want to call it, consumer report, about the lead and all that. When does that come out?
The consumer confidence report?
Yes,
That
right.
gets published around every
May,
year.
okay.
And what is that? Is that for like the area or?
Yeah, it's a water quality report for the DNR. Every municipality has to do it, and then
Okay.
publish it and supply it to the public.
I see.
coliform levels, lead levels, and all
I
of that.
remember seeing that, but that's what the confidence
Yes.
reported.
I had another question on the, this water elevation. The most recent reading is 16 foot 7 inch. Last month, it was very high. Why the huge difference?
Last month, we had the largest rainfall of the year so far for the groundwater elevation, so.
But it's been continuing. This seems like an impossible shift. Almost like there's a error in the reading or there's some other problem.
Well-
15 feet is from 2018, it's not from the previous month? Or am I looking at this?
No, but
No,
John's
but-
right, last month
What was-
was about an inch
Okay.
higher.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
You know,
A foot,
now
a foot higher.
A foot.
Yeah, if you look at
From last
2019, last month, it was 15 something, and now it's 16. It doesn't seem possible. You can
That's
have that
that's
amount.
gotta be a measurement.
There's something, either last month or this month, one of them's wrong.
Well, I'll take a look at it. I don't have the data with me. I'd have to go
And
with
we've
GIS
continued to
access.
have heavy rains.
Yeah.
So it doesn't seem to me this could be a
Yeah.
correct number.
I'd have to get back into GIS to verify it, to see if it is a typo or maybe you got the improper sounding when you measure it.
How is that done?
We'll check
Done
it
with-
out.
It's done with the manual
Sonar?
sound. It's a sounder, he sends down a casing and
Okay.
detects as soon as it hits the water.
Okay.
It records the footage from the top of the casing down to the
Okay.
water table.
We'll re-verify that, John, see if we can't, see what the
Yeah.
issue
Yeah, I did
is. If
see
there
that.
was an issue, we'll figure it out.
Okay, because I can't imagine it would change, and I just happened to notice it because I know I made the comment last month that it was the highest that
Long
I
time,
have seen.
yeah.
Well,
since I've
I
been on the
noticed it when I
commission.
reviewed the reports too, and then forgot to ask Dale about it before he took off on his trip, so
Okay.
Adam will chase it down.
Either that or there's something wrong with the infiltration or whatever. Could be indication of some other kind of problem.
Anything else? If not, the customer support supervisor report?
It's nice to see the ongoing collaboration with Landlord Association.
Good look on receivables. And sounds like excellent customer service.
Yeah, I think the landlord situation, to go out and visit them and to be proactive rather than reactionary. And I think I have to compliment you because that has been an issue, in my opinion, has been an issue in the past of being proactive that way. I think is a great idea, so.
We agree, that's come a long way in the last few years.
And you could plot that data, like just the number of times that landlords are present at this meeting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To interject or express their concerns, but now I think, yeah, you're right, it's more proactive.
Yeah.
Well, in a way, it was beneficial for us too, because there was some information we got from them for a number of years. We've been telling them, you know, you can put that you need to be current on your bills and your lease, and that you have to be on the electric bill if you want to continue to be on this lease. And then, you know, we found out a number of them are actually doing that, so it was positive to hear that it just wasn't, you know, falling on deaf ears. So it was good to hear from both sides.
Well, you know, and you are right, 7 years ago, and with John, I mean, we were taking pot shots from, you know,
Yes.
we were very unhappy with the way
Yes.
things were going, so it's good that everything's,
Yes, I know Lauren that joined the council.
and you got phone calls,
I got
right?
phone calls.
Uh-oh, I'm new.
Yeah, you know you're due.
I think we all got phone calls.
You will find out whether or not they're happy, probably, be the first one.
Anything else for Lynn? If not, the Director of Finance report?
I was surprised by that, only 13% of municipal utilities offer time of day. Is that like a logistics issue or software issue that they don't have it, or?
That was, that number was from 2017, and they did preface that it has come up some since then. They didn't say what the more current numbers are, but, a lot of municipal utilities are smaller utilities and probably just don't have the resources.
To
or-
do that,
Yeah.
handle that.
Nice to see a turn in the financial results.
Yes, it was good to see that turnaround this month.
And so with the 1.6 million to date, I saw in the bills, we're still getting the mutual aid. Is that, we
Well,
still gonna be seeing that in the next
I
couple
mean,
months?
Josh is still cleaning things up, so that number's bound to go up a little bit. I mean, Jeff has an update, I think he talked to FEMA earlier this morning, actually.
Yep, earlier this morning, we had an initial call with FEMA telling us that probably next week they're gonna call to set up our exploratory
A
call
call.
coming up in the near future, so.
This is the pre-call to the pre-call.
Exactly, so at least the process is underway, so we know that, it's gonna be happening soon. And the person that I talked to this morning, seems like it'll be there's gonna be a lot of work to get through this process, but it seems like, he's gone through it a few times, and it'll be, knowing what to do and how to make it happen, so.
And then I didn't, there was some reference about, I don't know what the scenarios are with FEMA, but in somebody's report, it talked about 75% or something like that.
Right, so best case scenario of our costs, less our insurance proceeds, FEMA would cover 75% of those costs. The state emergency government, best case scenario would cover 12.5%.
Okay.
And then we would be responsible for the other 12.5%.
That's best case scenario?
That's best case
Okay.
scenario.
What, worst case is 0 or?
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty much.
Is that true for the emergency management too? If you don't qualify for FEMA, you also don't qualify for emergency?
From my understanding, again, we have our exploratory call coming up in the next couple of weeks, but it sounded like, if FEMA says, you've got $1 million of expenses that we're going to consider our qualified expenses, so they'll cover 75% of that $1 million, and then the state would kick in 12.5% of that number, even if you had more expenditures than that.
But they don't kick in unless.
I'm assuming that's how it works. They haven't really came out and said that, but kind of reading between the lines, that's my understanding.
Any other comments or questions? Yeah.
I don't see it on here, maybe I'm missing it, but with the Fed rate reductions, are we seeing that trickle into the?
Yeah, our short-term, our stuff with LGIP and then with our local bank, that rate has decreased a little bit. And I did not have an investment report in here because we didn't get the last information until yesterday afternoon for rates, but that is decreasing a little bit. I should have one next month for you or at the budget meeting.
I was looking at the costs, your plots in particular for the water utility. And I see the pumping and G&A costs are up significantly. What's driving the pumping costs?
That I am not sure what that, it's a $13,000 increase. I'm not sure if there was some,
It seems like we've been selling less water. Why would we have increased pumping costs?
I don't know if there's anything at the actual wells, if there was some work that was being done this year.
There has been increased pumping with the large pumps at the wells, which use up more electricity than small pumps, because we've been cycling through them more this year to try to get more operational, just exercising of the large pumps, which we don't typically have to use unless we have large volume capacity needs. So in the past, we kind of just stuck to the large, small pump usage. And so we went and tried to start operating large pumps more frequently. That'd be the only circumstance I can see for why it's costing us more to operate the pump station.
I assume the G and A are just normal salary and benefit increases.
This is the one benefit adjustment that we had this year, so.
Yeah. Because that's like a 10% increase in the pumping cost. That's pretty significant.
It is. I'll make sure that there's nothing else there other than the electric increase that Adam brought up, and if there's something else, I'll let you know.
Get any other comments? If not, the Information Systems Administrator report. Could you enlighten me a little bit about the Honeywell Elster iView integration? That's with our software that we use with the billing?
Yeah, so we have a piece of software that reads the meters, that's the Honeywell Connexo software. And then that sends the information to the billing system.
Okay.
So what we had to do in order to get more functionality out of that piece of software was upgrade it. So we upgraded the Connexo piece last month, and then we worked with it just to make sure everything was working correctly and we understood the new software. Now, next week I have a kickoff meeting with NISC to get the integration started for the AMI piece of iView.
Oh,
So then we'll be able to control the meters in iView more than we had been in the past.
I see. Okay. Got one other question. Do you still have a city job?
No.
Or you're just here now?
Yes.
What are you doing with all the extra time?
Messing around with AMI communication.
Thanks for your effort in the past, we appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm always here to help if they need it, but they haven't needed it in the last 6 months.
And we have a director and staff, so, thank you.
Anything else? If not, how about the Conservation Manager report?
Looks like some excellent work for our customers.
Are you familiar with the proposal to remodel the library, Milton?
Not the specifics,
Yeah,
no.
they're going to be remodeling the second floor of the library, the adult section, and they're starting a campaign to raise the funds. So I suspect in, let's say 3 months or so, they'll have some tentative plan. It's really impressive, and it's something that you may want to get involved at the first stages of that, to see how we could help the Macmillan Library to save some energies there.
It's good to know I am familiar with the LED, the HVAC there several years ago. I know we went there with Focus on Energy. And so I'm a little bit familiar with what they have going on there, so it'd be interesting to see what they've changed in the last few years.
Yeah, you've helped us out quite a bit, but the whole floor is, the adult section is going to be totally revamped. And so it's going to be very impressive, so you might be involved with that.
Did they ever use Focus on Energy for any of the upgrading of the lighting?
I believe they have something there.
I was not involved with that. I know we went there and recommended them
Yes.
to use Focus on Energy. I'm sure they did, probably from an independent electrical contractor.
Yeah.
They received
They put in
incentives.
dimmers and
Yeah.
the whole, a lot. So,
Good. I have kind of a detailed report with Arby's. It looks like you're gonna change the time of day rate, if I read that right.
Yes.
And are they gonna make an investment in lighting, do you think, with,
They haven't committed yet,
okay,
but it looks that way. I just haven't received confirmation that they are doing it, but I believe they're gonna try to approach that, take advantage of that incentive before 2020.
okay.
I know I've tried contacting their electrical contractor to see if they've committed on it, but as of right now, no, they haven't.
Okay. And I see Elmes Cal, they had to change their rate because they started using more energy at a different,
Yes, they went from a G3 customer, which is below 50 kW, up to a CP1, which is above. So that does change the rate structure. When we sent that letter of notifying them of that, they don't have an option, however, it's my job, of course, to say, okay, let's see if we can put them on a time of day rate, if that would help them. In this case, it will not help the restaurant, the time of day rate, so time of day doesn't benefit everyone.
yeah.
In this case, it does not, so there's a recommendation not to move forward in time of day rate.
So if their energy demand went up, would that be like they changed equipment, put something less efficient in or replace something?
They always were very close to that 50 kW threshold.
Okay.
In this case, it could be dated equipment going bad that's using more. It could be just a change in store hours as well.
Okay.
The reason, when they go to that rate, the reason why they'll probably be paying a little bit more is because now they have to pay a demand charge going into that CP1 rate, where when they're below that 50 kW threshold, they don't have to pay that demand charge, which is nice for businesses. So,
Yeah. And it's just so odd that somebody usually, you're taking advantage of a rate time of day change or whatever, and for somebody to go up. And I know much restaurant business must be pretty tough to make it. They probably need all the dollars they can get.
Sean, on your list, you had Metalco, but I didn't see a write-up on it.
I did not. That was just a communication with them to find contact information for Focus on Energy, to reach out to them and work with them. It wasn't that important information, but I did reach out to them.
Sean, would you like to remind the public of the open house?
Yes, please everyone come join on Thursday from 3 to 7. We will have an open house event. We'll have great food. We have several added features this year, and that will be, which I'm gonna find pretty interesting. I think the customers will enjoy quite a bit, as an LED pop-up trailer. And we will be, they're set up through Focus on Energy. They will be selling LED kits, optional kits, that will be an $80 value, and they'll be selling them at cost for $10. So it's been very attractive in 2018 at these open house events. So we think that's going to be a great feature. We'll also have pull top rescue, which will have 2 linemen climbing poles, the old school way with gas. We'll be climbing up the poles, so that'll be something that we're adding, as well as Meter Town, which the meter department will be putting together, and they'll have a display on kind of the capabilities of how AMI meters work, allowing, I guess, them to come and discuss how they can look at Smart Hub and actually look at their hourly load profile data. So those are the 3 features that we added this year, so hopefully those go over quite well.
Thank you.
Just for those at home, the open house is on the 10th, so if you're watching this further down in the month,
Yes.
just be aware, it's
This
the
is
10th,
the-
this is
yeah.
when it is.
Tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow for us, but when they're watching it here, tomorrow is
You missed them.
open house, right, yeah. It was great food, so.
We enjoyed it.
Then Director of Engineering and Electric Operations report.
Any updates on the private well issue?
No, I believe in the next week or two, the city will be meeting on it and making decisions, if they're gonna keep it or we're gonna get it.
Nobody wants it.
Nobody wants it.
Is that something that they could contract out? You know what I mean? If nobody, has the staff or the time.
If they did, the prices would go way up.
Yeah.
So, because it's pretty much a non-profitable project at this
Right,
time.
right.
So
So these are people that are not on the municipal water system?
They are
Operating their own wells?
Actually, it's just the opposite of what you're thinking. They are on a municipal system, but they have a private well for probably irrigation. And you don't want to have that cross-contamination, so now the well has to be inspected. And that's what's happening.
And you get a city permit for that well, and we just had ours redid, whatever, after 5 years or whatever, so.
Hasn't Dale been doing that?
No,
Haven't we been
we
involved?
have-
We just crossed.
That's
Yeah,
the
we
bacteria
have a
test.
cross-connection inspection.
That's every 10 years.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so there's two different things. The cross-connection inspection is what Water and Light has been doing, and then there's also the private well inspection, which the city has been doing. Both are required.
And who in the city would be doing that?
Well, Adam was the administrator, Adam
Okay,
Hagan,
yeah.
but then the inspector for the city was actually doing the
Okay.
field inspections.
Okay.
I met with Adam prior to this just because I thought questions would come up. And I guess this came to our legislative committee, and our legislative committee is made up of the chairs of each of our 3 committees, Public Works, Finance, and Property, and so forth. And so they met and they tabled it to have maybe Todd or Jeff come back and just visit it more, so it's not decided. But he mentioned like every 5 years, you have to get the water test that cost, I believe, $25, and then a permit of $20. And it's cost effective in a sense. I mean, they have to pay for that, and it pays for the inspection and so forth. But I guess it still has to be decided. And I don't think it's coming to the common council this month, so,
So we got a month reprieve.
right.
Do we know from other municipalities? I mean, this is a
I
statewide
think-
requirement, right? So how are others handling this?
From what I'm understanding, most of the water utilities have been doing the well testing for cities that haven't shut the wells down. I mean, there are some that have said, fill them in, we're done with this. But for the ones that are having to still do the well inspections, it has fallen on the water utility predominantly.
Yeah, Adam gave me a list, and I can't recall specifically, but I think only 2 didn't. The others was the utility.
So the water testing, though, we would have to farm out.
We've been doing the water testing already. I mean, we test the well water for whoever the tenant is, but then they have to have an actual on-site well inspection, so that's the piece we're talking about.
But those samples would go to you?
They
When
do
we-
now.
when we do that?
They do now, that's what I meant.
Yeah,
Didn't know.
Yeah.
I get to look at them at the city.
test it upstairs and then
On
get
ice.
results the next day. So, yeah, we're working on some ways to deal with that when it happens, so.
With Metalco, they just broke ground, but do they have any indications of when they're gonna first start
Yep. So
utilizing? or-
They talked at the groundbreaking ceremony of end of September, early October is when they intend to make their first product.
Okay.
Yep.
And what load are we anticipating?
They originally told us 5 megawatts. I think it's gonna be closer to 3 megawatts.
Oh, okay.
We'll see when it comes. Yep.
Either way, it's a good thing.
Yep.
Whether it's 3 or 5.
Right. Probably won't be on time of day, I don't think.
Yeah, they will, it'll be around the clock. I think.
Yeah, it's not something you probably start up and
Shut down.
Yeah.
Period.
Not easily.
Not intentionally.
Okay, the general manager report?
thank you for the 4% reduction in cost for power.
Yeah, that'll flow directly to our customers, the power cost adjustment, so.
Is this
changes
3
are
years
still
in a row?
effective. It's like 4 years, 5 years in a row rate reduction.
Any perspective on, in any way, the two proposed solar installations they're talking about, one by NEPCO, right? And then, that's a small one. But then they're talking about this industrial scale one down in Saratoga, over like, what's it, like thousands of
Yeah, I
acres?
haven't heard much about it, I saw
150.
what was in the paper on it.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be a large project, and typically when they're that big, they've gotta be close to a utility substation of some sort in order to take the power in.
Yeah,
And I don't think there's much of anything down there right now, so that would be a large, I think it's Alliance territory,
Right.
but that would be a large investment just to receive the, whatever it is, couple hundred megawatts they're talking.
yeah.
I assume that they're working with an investor-owned utility on a PPA, which is a power purchase agreement.
Okay.
I'll watch my acronyms for
Yeah.
And then once all the loose ends and they receive approval, that'll all be announced who it's going to, because there's no way they're gonna just throw that stuff on the grid.
Right.
It's not cost effective.
I personally want to thank Jim and Todd and Jeff. They sat with me and went through the overview, and then Todd gave me a tour of the facility, and Jeff spent a good time going through this report and sharing the numbers and what to look at and so forth, so I appreciate the time and effort.
We appreciate your interest. Keep in mind, I think I'd mentioned it earlier, but I'll probably have Roxanne start making some calls later this week, early next week, on getting a budget meeting set up for sometime in October. You gonna be close to home or not? Kinda figured, okay. Well, we'll start with you then.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. No, I'll be here a good part of it, but I'm
Okay.
also gone during 2 different weeks. so.
Okay. And I guess the only other thing, I had the glue annual meeting, they did pick a date for that, it's October 30th in Marshfield. So I don't know if any commissioners want to go, you'll get an invite in the mail shortly, I think they're getting ready to send those out. So if you want to attend. I'm not positive if I'll be there, right now I have a kind of conflict, family thing, so.
And the date for that?
October 30th,
30th.
Marshfield.
Did you have some thoughts already on that budget meeting, on what dates?
I haven't.
Okay.
I will tomorrow morning, I'll look at my calendar more closely. I think I'm pretty close to the office for this month, so I'm pretty available. I think it'll be more getting you five together. It's one of the meetings we want to ensure that at least everybody's here if they can be, set their budget for next year.
Any other questions of Jim? If not, review the accounts payable.
I had a question on this, TR 72 replaced TR 58. I probably should know that, but I don't.
That was one of the vehicles, I'm sorry, TR was truck 72. It was our trouble truck, it was actually the one we ordered in 2018, with the year turnaround, so it actually was more than a year, wasn't it? But we did get that one
Yeah, okay.
in service.
So that was a budgeted item?
Yes.
Okay.
What page is that, John?
3 of 5 at the top. Second item.
All right.
And with the multiple for Davy, How are they,
They
Bill.
put a bill in every week,
oh, every week?
Yeah.
Okay, all right,
and that, like on page 3, that's the typical cost for a week service.
okay. I just didn't know,
Mhm.
I assumed they did like a monthly and didn't know why they would be multiple.
Any other questions, comments? If not, would somebody like to make a motion to close the meeting?
So moved. Second.
All in agreement?
I
Thank you.